Great Louisville hosting number 9 Creighton. Later, 1 seed Auburn will take on number 16 Auburn State, where Auburn seeds. Jay has Auburn, Florida, Duke, and Houston, with the Gators beating the Cougars in the championship game. Jay back here with us. And Jay, someone has a bone to pick with you, and he's sitting to my left. His name's Christopher Mad Dog Russo.
Jay, anybody can pick the 4-1 seeds. You see more basketball college-wise than anybody. Give me an upset. Come up with something a little different. Gee whiz, 4-1 seeds. I'll be different. I agree. It's hard to find. I like Florida. You can go Michigan State or Auburn any way you want. That's not really an upset. I'll come up, and it's wild. I'll come up with BYU. I know they're going to have to eventually probably beat Duke in New York. They're going to, obviously, they shoot too many threes. If they have a bad day, they may not make them, and they're going to be out. But if I had to do a little something, I will pick BYU as my surprise team. Now, Jay, I asked you this at 10. I'm going to ask you again. Give me a team in one of these regions who's a higher seed that you think has the capabilities of winning 4 games to get to a Final Four. Go ahead. Let me hear. Which one?
Oh, Dog, there are a bunch of teams that can win 4 games. I mean, last year as an 11th seed, NC State won 4 games. But they have to have something happen in the second round and sort of make it a quote-unquote easy. Chosen for them, that it wasn't that bad. I mean, obviously everybody can lose, but that Final Four had all 4 number 1 seeds make it. 2008, it was in San Antonio. And when I looked at this year's bracket, I thought that the path for each number 1 seed was pretty darn good. Not that somebody can't lose or won't slip on a banana peel somewhere. It can happen. But oddly enough, the Final Four is in San Antonio again. And it's only happened once. I think it's actually harder for all 4 number 1 seeds to make it, and I'm kind of saying I think this may happen, so that's why I took it.
Well, let me say this to you. When I look at my brackets, I got my brackets right here. I got Duke coming out. I got Houston, not Tennessee, doggy. Yep. Of course, I got Florida, and I'm not betting against Tom Izzo. I mean, if you're talking about, Bruce Pearl and Auburn, I am a fan of Bruce Pearl. I love this man. I think he's great for the college basketball game. The further he advanced, I think is just phenomenal for the game itself. And his team, he's got a crew. But they faded a little bit over the last few weeks, leaving 3 or 4 to enter the tournament, if I remember correctly. I've got Tom Izzo and Michigan State. I've got them going to the Final Four. I got Michigan State, Duke, Florida, and Houston. That's where I'm coming from with it, guys. And Kelvin Sampson, can we talk about the job that this man has done as coach in Houston? I can't say enough about the job that he has done. I would love for Rick Pitino. Resurrecting basketball in New York. There's a reason to go to the Garden to watch college basketball, okay? There's a reason to talk about St. John's off of Grand Central Parkway. There's a reason to talk about St. John's off of Grand Central Parkway. I don't know if you know this about me, Jay Billis. I went to Thomas Edison High School, vocational technical high school. I studied electrical installation right across the highway from St. John's. Okay, I grew up in the days of Mullen and Walter Berry and the boys, Mark Jackson, Willie Glass, and the crew. Okay, it is beautiful to see St. John's relevant again. I love it. Rick Pitino, that press, particularly in the second half, the way they play defense, but damn it, they can't shoot. And because of that, I can't see them beat Florida, and that's my issue. But I got Duke, Florida, Michigan State, and Houston.
I understand that. And I can see that. Jay, what Elite 8 game would turn you out? To me, it would be Florida St. John's, and I think Stevie would agree. What elite game do you love the most if, in fact, the seeds play like they play? Which one?
If it's ones and twos, I agree with you. I can't wait to watch Florida take on St. John's. Florida is bigger, they're deeper, and what would be interesting there, one of the many interesting things is Walter Clayton Jr., the leading scorer, first-team All-American at Florida, that's had a phenomenal year. He's just a walking bucket. He played for Rick Pitino at Iona and transferred to Florida. He's taken off. And actually, we had Rick Pitino on College Game Day this weekend. Before we came on the air, he was saying, hey, how about Walter Clayton Jr. and what he's doing in Florida? And I couldn't help it. I shot. And one of the things I think about his St. John's team is it reminds me a lot of some of his Louisville teams. And one of his Louisville teams won the national championship in 2013. But your point about their shooting is correct. They don't shoot it great, but they can make enough shots. But they are maniacal defensively, and they play unbelievably hard. And they've got key players at the most important positions. You know, Kaderi Richmond is their point guard. He's outstanding, scorer, and a great player. And then Zuby Ejiofor started his career at Kansas, where he didn't get on the floor much. And now he's one of the 5 or 6 best big guys in the country. He can offensive rebound, run the floor. He's actually their captain. So I like their team a lot. If they were in any other region, I'd put them in the Final Four. But against Florida, I just favor the Gators.
100%. Does Izzo have a championship? He hasn't won a championship, only the one, Jay. Does he have a championship-level team here or not? Not Final Four. There's a big difference, Final Four, and then winning the whole thing, those 2 games. Does he have a championship-level team? Can he win 6 straight?
If you would have asked me that question in December, I would have said no way for either one, Final Four or national championship. But he's done an extraordinary job with this team. They're deep, and they've got a lot of good players. I mean, Michigan State won the Big Ten outright, and they won it going away. They don't have a single player that was on the All Big Ten first team or a single player that was on the All Big Ten second team.
Wow.
They're a collection of good players that do their jobs and do their jobs really well. And the fact they have 10 guys that all go in there and play their tails off together, I think it's one of the best jobs of connecting a group together. And, you know, the last few years, Tom's had teams that weren't quite as connected. They were probably more talented, but they weren't quite as connected. And this year, because they haven't shot it well, I think they have better shooters than their numbers indicate. But they're getting to the free throw line this year, which they haven't done in past years. And at the end of games, their depth is wearing teams down, and their defense is taking over. I'm just not sure if they.
Challenge